It's Primus Tracks with Josh, Frankie, and Soya.
What a couple of dumb shits.
Hello, primates. You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations. I am Josh. Right over there in Mexico City is Frankie.
Hi, Josh.
Frankie, it's great to have you again. And our new best friend, he's back again, Tim Soya.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What is up, Soya? And Soya brought with him a guy off the street who knows a little bit about Primus himself. I can't believe I'm saying these words today, and they are Bryan Brain Mantia. Welcome to Primus Tracks.
Wow.
What's happening? Hold on, I got to do a bump. Hold on.
Oh, please.
A bump.
Okay, I'm here, man. What's up?
Now you're
Hi,
ready.
Brain.
Oh, yeah, lit up now.
I'm playing. I'm way too old to be doing bumps. That was just a joke, and I'm like way too old.
Liar, you're on drugs.
All the kids, there's nothing here. It was like, look, I'm on water.
No, you're a goner on drugs. I know.
Sorry, dude, that's playing.
That water looked a little cloudy, but that's okay.
Right on. Thanks for coming with me, Brain. This is awesome. Man.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Brain. We're going to be talking the making of the Brown album, but boy, oh boy, it was such a tumultuous time for Primus in the sense that Tim Alexander leaves and you enter the picture, and it seems like, to my teenage brain, because I remember checking the Primus website every day going, what's going to happen? And it was, they, on the website, and I don't know if you remember, they had this whole thing about finding the golden drumhead to be the next Primus drummer. So to me, it was like this worldwide search, but in reading the Grapevine book and then going back and looking, I was like, I think they just made a couple of phone calls. So,
Man.
Brain,
Brain, didn't we do the Holy Mackerel tour first, and then you became the drummer of Primus, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. That's sort of how it worked. I mean, we did Holy Mackerel, which is one of the greatest bands in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
So that was a rad tour, and that was like how it started. I remember Les kind of we did the 27 Seconds of Brain on that tour.
Yeah, that's right. That's where that came from.
He said it, I think, the first time we were in fucking Arizona at that weird I forgot what club it was, but it was a club that it was like almost like a bar. It had like two layers. The stage
Right.
at the bottom. Do you remember that club?
I do. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember that gig. Yes, of course.
Yeah, and I think he introduced me as that. He kind of said, okay, the new drummer of Primus is going to do 27 seconds. And I was like, I guess I got the gig. This is kind of cool.
Are you
kind of like that, kind of with Les. You know how everything with Les is such a casual and just kind of like.
Well, he always had the master plan in his head, and he unfolded things as he felt they needed to unfold in the moment. We've talked about that on a few episodes about how he's got the master plan going on, whether he's told you about it or not. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm doing what? Yep. This is what you're doing now. You're the drummer in my band. It's like,
I could totally see that because, on anytime he's on the bus and he's going like this.
Yes.
He does that on the bus. He's like this. Yeah. Lur and I always are looking at each other, always like, oh shit, what's going to happen? We're either all going to be fired, or there's a new band coming out, or like you got an idea for this crazy show we're putting on, or you know what I'm saying, dude? Right?
Man, I wish Frankie and Josh knew. I wish Frankie and Josh knew.
Yeah, dude.
What you and me know.
You see this? Yep, on the bus. It means
the gears are turning, dude. And you're like, all right, there's going to be a meeting coming up here where we're all going to sit here and have to listen to what's next. And it was always good.
Good or bad. Something good or bad, nothing in between.
Yeah.
I think you guys might be referring to the Electric Ballroom. Is that right?
Yes. Used to be called After the Gold Rush, actually, I think is what it was. Yeah, that's the gig where Victim's Family opened for Primus back on the Seas of Cheese moment.
Wow.
We did a couple of shows, and that show at that gig, they stayed across the street at the Holiday Inn, was across the street from that place. I think we stayed there on the Mackerel tour, actually.
I think we did.
You know what I'm talking about? That Holiday Inn, right across the street from that club.
Yeah.
There's nothing else around there, just a Holiday Inn and that bar.
That's the gig.
And Turk Black was with us, and we came and picked up Les and Lur to go have beers with us at our hotel, some residence inn like a mile away, because, we weren't superstars. We couldn't stay at the Holiday Inn, We're a Victim's Family in a van. And Turk got a hotel room for us. Anyway, those guys came and partied with us. And we drove them back. And then when they went into their rooms, all their shit was stolen. Like some fans from the Primus gig came into the Holiday Inn and said, "Hey, I'm Les Claypool. I'm Lur Lalonde. We left our keys somewhere. Can we get a new room key?" And they gave these kids a key to their room.
Wow.
And they went in there and stole all their bags and their backpacks and all their stuff. And like Mike Patton was getting phone calls because it was in Les's like phone book.
Right.
Like, you know, like that kind of thing. It was that same gig, dude. Sorry, I just totally went off the path.
That's
on that
wild. Jeez.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not even Frankie would do that. He would get Mike Patton's
yeah.
number in a better way.
It was Primus related, so
more legitimate.
Bryan, since you mentioned 27 Seconds and it's related to the Brown album performances, can I ask about The Awakening? Because it sounds like that's something that Les used to love doing with you, both Mackerel and with Primus.
Yeah, I think it started with Jay Lane first, right? Him and Jay.
Yeah, that's on the Macro record is with Jay.
Yeah,
right. And then I think Les was like, "Hey, you want to tackle it?" And it has a bunch of different dynamics and different parts, but I think we worked it out pretty well. So yeah, I think it started on the Macro, and then we might have even did it on the first Primus tour, some of it, didn't we?
Yeah, you used to do it with Tommy the Cat during the Brown album.
Right, in the break. Right, yeah. Gee, see, dude, you know more than fucking...
I'm trying to tell you, Bryan, watch out, dude. Frankie knows. Frankie knows.
Her and I were back there just drinking and doing shit. Yeah, I got it.
All right, so let's figure this out now, Bryan. Okay, so you got in the band after Macro. I remember that. And then it was, let's record the next record. And we had to go up to Rancho Relaxo and build a drum kit and do the whole thing, and get started. Do you remember building that kit that we made? You got the jelly bean Ludwig?
Yeah, because I think the whole point was, to bring back what Josh was saying about the golden head and all that stuff. I mean, to fill the shoe, Tim was already kind of becoming the next like Neil Peart, right? I mean, that was sort of where they were, because they were like Rush at that point. They were like the new Rush in a sense, because technically Tim is more of a technical player than me, and that was his style. So everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's like, who's going to replace, somebody with even more chops and whatever." And I think even you and I, Tim, were talking like, we just, and Les, even was like, we just got to do something completely opposite.
Right.
So it was like, let's get plastic drums, plastic North drums.
Yep.
The biggest kick drum.
Yep.
Tim was using those 20s from like Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Yeah,
and all the high kick drum sounds. And we were like, let's just get the biggest drums and fucking the Gonist, Bonham-ish type kit. It was premeditated. Like we had thought about it. Yep. It wasn't just like accidental. We said, let's go.
No, I think, Bryan, I think that's the first time I like really got involved with an artist to create something for a project, like a record or a sound, I've done it many times, but you were the first one that allowed me to help you, inspire what we came up with for the band that you were drumming in, and that was,
we talked about it a lot. Like it wasn't just something that we just fell upon, we were cognizant of the idea, of like,
trying to do something different and something way the fuck out. Yeah.
Way the other way. And I kind of remember it was kind of like, this was before social media and shit, but I remember some of the backlog, it was like 50-50. It was like fans were talking about it in a way of like, it was like half the people hated it and half the people loved it. It was like when Madonna wins Best Singer.
I mean, it was totally expected to get that kind of backlash. I mean, we knew that was going to happen. And I think that because you are such a strong character, and I ran with your character, we came up with this kooky shit to try to say, "Look, motherfuckers, Bryan's in the band, and it's not Tim anymore. There's some North drums involved, It's like,
the North drums, and then I remember the first time when we did that gig, dude. Remember, because Tim would like put my floor toms like angled the wrong way, even before the dude from White's band was doing it. He has this stuff all Remember the Full-Tom was just facing that?
I did them both. Like one was like this and one was like that. Yeah. Just to be funny.
One was normal and one was the other way. And I remember, I'll never forget it. We were doing that festival, the one that the Foo Fighters were on.
With the Foo Fighters, yeah. And Dave and Taylor came running in.
Off the gig and they were just looking at the kit going, wait, whose is this kit? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, he plays it that way? And Tim's like, fuck yeah, that's just that's what he does.
Right. Those guys came over to me, like, seriously, you guys, Taylor and Dave Grohl came into the gig, and our drums were on the dock. Yeah. And they saw it and they ran over, and I was standing there and they were like, what in the fuck? What? Wait, hold on. North drum? Wait, what? Why is the floor toms tipped the wrong way? Wait, what the fuck? There's no hole in the bass drum head and it's 26-inch kick drum. I was like, bros, this is Brain, dude. This is some new shit, dude. We're changing the game. And they were floored, dude. It was so, I mean, to me, Brain, that you said that was the epic moment of my entire drum teching career, that
was funny.
We did something that made a difference, like right out of the gate.
We took them out.
We took them out.
Said that.
We took Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins out, dude. It was awesome.
They were just like, why would someone have and I remember it was the yellow 18-inch, I think, was just going
it was tipped the other way. You couldn't even really hit it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did.
It looked cool. It was all fucked up. That was the best, man. Amazing.
Man. Yeah,
that was at Great Woods in Boston, was that festival. I remember that.
Yeah, that was funny, man. I remember that. That was kind of, I think that was the gig that
Fiona Apple was there.
Plus, on that gig too, I remember, dude, because that was the first tour of the Brown album.
Yep.
And it was like, that was like one of the first shows that Les was introducing, and Primus was introducing me as the new drummer. Mm-hmm. So right. I think we had to do that kind of shit because of the anxiety. There was kind of a lot of tension, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was kind of, I was nervous. I tried not to show it, but I was nervous. And I think that's why even I started the show with a drum solo.
A couple times. Yeah. He's like, okay, before we get started, 27 seconds in a break. Go.
And I would just start it with that because it was kind of like just relieve the tension, just go out. We have a new drummer, do some soloing, and then go into do that, and
then into John the Fisherman. Yeah. I mean, seriously though, dude, it was amazing that you got that gig. Of course, it was a no-brainer that you got it. No pun intended, but you know what I mean. I can't imagine what you were going through because, Punch Bowl sold almost 1 million and right. Pork Soda sold 1 million, and you're just jumping into this band with your buddies. It wasn't like a hired gig, like you got signed on to some band that was somebody and you just play the parts, like you're coming in as a member and having to be the creative force of a threesome,
Yeah, no, dude, that's why I say I think we were doing a lot of that stupid shit to just for myself. I know I was more nervous than I was showing. I wasn't going to show Soya, who would fucking kick me in the ass, especially when he does Tommy Aldridge and he sees fucking Tommy being a man. He didn't want to be like some pussy in the corner crying like a little girl. I was trying to just...
Wait, you were doing that. Hold on a second. You were crying in the corner.
Yeah, I just mean, I think that's how we relieved a lot of tension was just doing stupid shit. Making the drums over the top, just making it like, look, this isn't Tim. This is what you're going to get. Either love it or hate it. And that's what it's going to be.
I mean, I think that we came up with some really fun. We came up with some fun stuff, though, dude. I mean, I thought it was really cool with the kits we built and the funny things we did with you on the stage. Even, remember we lit the mallets on fire that one night and on the Limp Bizkit.
You pour the beer.
And you drink the beer and that whole thing. Yeah.
Poured on there, and I did the fucking what are the loaves of bread? Remember
that was in Paris. Yes, you did the loaves of bread. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had to. I think we had to do that to kind of ease the tension.
Because Les is really serious, and you were not so serious on a surface level of what you wanted to convey. And I fed into that and Lur fed into that. So I think that helped you relax and get into the gig and do your own thing.
Sometimes we took it too far, and I think, Les would get kind of pissed, and it was kind of I've grown up since then. So, I understand, but
Bryan, can I ask you something about your drum sound on the album?
Yeah.
So you said that Les had a way of recording that he would put the microphone behind where your ear is, and he would put a sock over it, so the sound came out muffled and compressed. But it was all intentional. So I want to know, what was your reaction when you heard your drums on the album? Like, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, I mean,
where did you get that info, Frankie? I never heard about
That's
that.
The Grapevine
I was there.
book.
That never happened.
That's the Grapevine book, right?
That's the Grapevine book.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, see, I mean, I knew Tim and Les and Lur, before I joined, and I knew Les had a certain way of recording. He loves recording. He had bought that API board, which was a fucking awesome board, and not like the new shit all revamped. I'm talking, he bought one of the old models, where you have to have like techs over there every day fixing it and shit. So we got the real deal sound. And, he was just also into experimenting through like, techniques that, the heavies that did the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, whether it was Kramer or who's the guy who did the Beatles? I'm just drawing a blank, but
George
Martin.
Yeah, all the fucking, those books, he was kind of into them because I think Weiniger was influencing him a little because Weiniger was such a great, engineer. And I think he was like, well, when I read about this, we should try this. So he was always experimenting, and Tim could chime in. But I think, it was all intentional, and I loved it. I mean, it kind of took people out. And I remember the day it came out, we were on tour with playing, and I think we were on a festival with Devo.
Okay.
And
with Josh.
Came up to me. The album was released like 2 days before that, and Josh Freese literally came up to me, and he was like, dude, what the fuck are those? Like, the drums, I've never heard anything. I took him out. Like, either people loved it or hated it. He loved it.
Yeah.
But it was such a different sound. I mean, Tim is all tight, precise, and this is all tubby and just loose. Right. And so.
Well, I'm gonna chime in then, Brain. If you don't remember, I didn't remember until I can't remember who said it, but when we did the Punch Bowl record, Tim had the brand new Tama drums, and they had the May miking system. The mics were in the toms.
Right. Yeah.
I forgot about that until somebody brought that up. Okay, so when we get to the Brown album, Les, being Les, wanted to do something completely different than anything else ever. Always organic, raw. Yeah. And remember, he's like, okay, so John Bonham, they did one microphone in a stairwell for Levee Break. So we're just going to use one microphone on the drums on this record. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so he ended up, we had the Mackie board on the Brown album, or the AMEC big board. We did not have that API board yet. It was the AMEC one that didn't have automation. It had like a computer screen that I had to go through. And
wait, we didn't have what was the API one then? Was that?
That was for Bucket of Bernie Brains. We had that.
Oh, okay. That was Bucket of Bernie Brains.
So we had gotten
that. It was that OG one that
it was the AMEC big. It was like a 24 channel, some like Neve.
You're right.
Home recording board. Okay.
I remember. Yeah.
So we get that, and it had some PC computer that you could recall your settings, but you had to go to every button, and I had to sit there and go, all right, Soya, recall that song. And I'd have to go, okay, right. 1K, turn the knob to the right. Slowly. Okay, go to the 2K. And it was like, geez, it took me like an hour to recall a mix,
Right,
like, because I had to do every knob.
Okay, I remember now. Yeah,
right.
And so you had that API board.
No, this is way before.
Still wasn't even there. Okay, but I did use it on Bucket of Bernie Brains.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
But what was significant was we got rid of the ADATs, and he bought the 1-inch Tascam, right?
Right.
And so if you remember, we were trying to figure out, okay, what's the new sound for Primus for the Brown album? It wasn't even called the Brown album yet. Like, what's our new sound? Where are we going to go with this? Punch Bowl was killer. Pork Soda we did at Ultrasound in the jam room. We got to do something organic and crazy. And so remember, he put on Physical Graffiti, and we listened to it. And he goes, okay, this is the sound. And me and you and Lur were like sitting there on the stairs. We're like, okay, yeah. Fuck yeah, we love this record. This is a great sound. And he goes, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to record. Braden, you go over there and play. And Laura, you play. We're going to do a little jam. And you guys recorded for like 20 seconds, something stupid.
Yeah.
And he recorded it on the the 1-inch tape, and then he like recorded something else. It was like an A/B thing, and we all picked.
I remember that,
the one that was like the 1-inch tape. That was whatever with 2 microphones on the drums, and he's like, okay. All right, now let's get started. It's like, now we got the sound. We're going to sound like physical graffiti. It's like, okay, dude, whatever.
But I don't even think we had a hole in the kick drum, dude.
We did not. No, I couldn't play that fucking drum. I don't know how the hell you did that shit, dude.
I don't know either, because I don't think there was one, man.
It was proving a point, dude. It was like, it's impossible, and I'm going to get through this and do it, dude.
Yeah. What is, for a layman like me, what's the difference if there's no hole in it?
Well,
it's like if
air that goes through, and so, you get a lot of like flutter, and it's harder to play. It doesn't let you, plow into it. It'll just pop back, or
you take like a stick and you hit it on a countertop.
Sure.
Or you hit a stick on like a pillow is the difference.
Sure. Yeah. There is that.
And the countertop is no hole in the front, dude. And Bryan did it with a 26-inch Vistalite kick drum.
If you don't have super great technique and know how to get off the front head quick, you get like, it's hard. It's fucking hard. Flutters. Yeah. And 26 inches moving that air.
Man, I don't know how the hell you got through that, dude. We did that for that whole tour. We had that kid.
Sound. I mean, it is a certain sound. It's the Brown album, that's for sure.
Good Lord.
Bryan, it looks like you guys were heavy into snowboarding during the recording of the album, right?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't during the recording. That was during the touring. We recorded at Les's house. There's no snow in Sebastopol.
No, we took a couple trips.
Yeah, we went to Tahoe a couple times.
We went to Tahoe with Adam and shit. Remember? We took that trip.
Night snowboarding at Boreal with Adam Gates. First time he'd ever snowboarded was night snowboarding.
Oh no,
Adam Gates. That's right. He was all shaking and shit. Like, I don't know. I mean, you just go down the hill. It's like, yeah, dude, later.
We took off. He's like, how do you strap these? I'm like, you got to figure it out, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not your fucking mom. And I took off. He was so mad at me that night.
Dude, you can't leave me like this. And we're just like, later, dude. Like, go back.
You did like a rodeo flip off the ground on the side.
We were already doing that shit, but he was like, it was all new to him. And Les too, though, right? Was that new to Les? Yeah, Les is snowboarding.
Yeah.
Me and you and Lur were experienced, and Les Les was new. Remember, Les broke his foot in Salt Lake City, Park City.
Snowcore tour. Yeah.
He had to wear the boot for the rest of the tour. It was the best.
That was all Brown album.
Yeah, that was Brown album.
Yeah.
Snowcore was Brown album. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good team building for you guys to do that together. Except for poor Adam, but it kind of makes sense that you guys.
There was no trust falls going on. It was like break your foot falls.
But I think it was also like a bonding thing where Tim wasn't really into skating and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And snowboarding, and I think right? Don't you think, Tim? It was kind of like that's one.
Like Tim Alexander Herb, he really liked golfing, and that was it. Or sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, the other interesting thing that happened when we started that Brown recording, Bryan, was, remember, me and you forced Les to put a drum kit. We moved the drum kit into the pool table room with the tile floor because we're like, come on, man, we got to get some wide open, big drum sounds. And he's like, okay, he only agreed to it if we agreed to one mic. And he put one mic in the middle of that room, and that's like that opening song, right?
That's the opening song. I was just going to say that. I remember that now. Yeah.
And that was the trade-off, was we get the drums in that room, and he goes, but I only use one mic. And we're like, okay, let's do it. So we moved the drums over there.
Sound, though. That's a rad sound in that room.
Yeah, it's huge, man. That room was awesome, man.
Yeah, I love that pool room. I remember that. We just set up right next to the pool table.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we've set up drums in that room a few times now over the years since that time. Yeah. The pool table's not in there anymore. It's sitting in his living room. But that room is like, I could not believe that he didn't want to use that room to its potential back then as we were recording,
I know. That's weird. We could have took out that pool table and just had it as a drum room, really.
Man, that tile floor and that big high ceiling was killer.
That's that slap. Because you can hear in that first track.
And you hear it, you hear that slap, and that big openness is awesome, man.
Yeah, that's a big sound on that opening track for sure. So that's fascinating because Soya, you talk about those recording rooms all the time. So I was unaware that you made a deal to move it into a room with better reverberation, I suppose, huh?
You got to make a deal with Les on every move you make against what he wants to do. You know, you have to like convince him and make compromises and convince him that it's going to be good. And you know, it's hard. I mean, he's a mastermind, you know, he's a genius in his own mind of what he's got the vision, you know, and to try to steer him away from that for 1 second, you know, me and Bryan were able to in that one moment at that time in the Brown album. Yeah. Remember, Bryan?
You never could take off the flam head or whatever that fucking yellow head was that he loved.
Oh, on his Black Beauty. Yeah. You couldn't touch it. Yeah. You couldn't touch that. That's the snare drum that's on the Sausage record, dude.
That's a bad snare sound, though, in drum. He's like, I don't know, dude. You got to use the flam, the old flammer. I'm just like, okay. Like he loved that thing, dude. Yeah, it's a rad. It's a rad, unique sound. That drum. Yeah. Do they even make those drum heads anymore?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, that's a Remo product. I don't follow Remo anymore. I'm endorsed by Aquarian now, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm above that stuff, dude.
So, Bryan, you hit it at something interesting because you've said this, or you said it before, you've known these guys for years, you joined the band, now you're in the Primus machine, and you kind of talked about what it was like on those first few live shows, getting those jitters or getting those nerves out with 27 seconds and just pounding the shit out of your drums, because I've seen the videos. Awesome. I love it. You bring so much energy live. Like, oh man, so great. How about in the studio? Because you guys are now talking about some of the compromises you made and how the planning went. I guess a Pepsi challenge of sorts. That one sounds good. Okay, this is the one we're going to use. But in general, as you join this band and you're into the Primus machine, how did some of those relational dynamics change? I mean, compromise is one of them, but did you really know what you were getting into?
Well, I mean, a little bit, because, you know, I had come to shows and we toured, you know, together as far as when I was in the band, the Limbo Maniacs, and I've known these guys forever. And, you know, like Tim said, that's probably why I was just the one to get the gig, because I think Les was looking for something in-house, you know. And
someone that was familiar enough and close enough to the sun to, like, not have it be this, okay, you don't work out.
Yeah.
He knew you would work out.
And and I think that the only thing that I would have changed for the beginning of the Brown album and the recording is I wish we could have actually went on tour first. Right. Then come back and recorded, because I think it would have just been a better album for me for drumming and not. Yeah. When I listen to it now, I feel a little reserved, and that was still the nerves. You know, it was kind of just like, okay, we're just going to record. And it's like, well, you know, I had toured. We did a little bit of, you know, stuff with Les. I think I did Sausage before.
Yeah, you filled in for Jay on that Sausage run.
Yeah. And so Les and I have jammed and stuff, but the dynamic of Les and I, you know, it's like how the Police, they go out and they tour and then they come back and record. So they're just like, back in the day, they probably don't even talk to each other now, but back in the day, you know, that's what they did. And I always thought about that, and I always thought, if I could have changed one thing, it would have been great to have gone on tour first, then come back and record it. I think that particular album would have been even better. I mean, you know, it was rad for what it is, but, you know, for my playing, where Les was already relaxed and Lur, because they've been doing it for, you know.
Well, the Brown album is quite like Punch Bowl, where you guys made that shit up as you were recording it. Like, it was jams in the studio. It wasn't like what you're saying. You go out on tour and sound checks, you come up with jams and you kind of mess with them and then go, okay, and then come into the studio and go, remember that thing? Okay, we got these 4 ideas. It's like, you guys made that stuff up on the spot, you know? And I remember that first song, doing cat and cat, cat. Like, we got the drums in that room and you just started playing that beat, and that song came out of that beat. I mean,
Lester started jamming to it because he was
went boo 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 boom.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's a cool beat. It's like a Bonham beat type thing.
Only better.
Yeah. But I think that because the rehearsals we had before that were to learn all the old songs. Mm-hmm. And I think Les, you know, he didn't say it, but I saw him in the corner sometimes doing this. So I'm like, oh boy, he's thinking, like was probably going like, okay, what songs work with Brain? Because some didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
There were certain songs that it was just kind of like, that's such a Herb, Tim, I don't call him Herb anymore. I mean, Tim style that it just didn't work. So I think we were still feeling each other out, or whatever, as far as like, well, what, Brain's not using double bass. He has way more space in his playing. So there's way more air going, so what songs actually work, right? I remember that. Remember we were
totally. I absolutely remember. And, we talked about this, me and Frankie and Josh, a couple episodes back, about how you never got the challenge of playing over the electric grapevine.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we talked to Jay Lane about it. He was on an episode recorded the other night, and he had to play that song. And I've seen video of him playing it, and he does not play it like Tim plays it. Like he plays it like Jay Lane, It's like, and we all kind of agreed, like, man, how would Bryan have played that song? And it's like, it never came on the plate for you to play that song. You know the song, right?
Yeah. But I don't think that, and Jay plays a different style than Tim and I. So it's all like three different styles of drumming, know. And the great thing, though, is it's crazy because you wouldn't think, but, we're all good friends. Like, I mean, at least I think so. I mean, they might hate me, but
depends how much blow you got on you to share, If
we all got in a room, I think they would be, anytime I see, Tim or Jay, we're all, it's just crazy that those are the three main drummers in Primus.
Right on. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I've talked to these guys all the time, and I talk to you, and the Mutual Admiration Club is awesome, dude, because we're all old guard. We've been around since before, anything ever happened with this band,
Yeah, I know.
And we all went through the ringer of like ups and downs of this band, and you championed with these couple records, and the Brown album was amazing, dude. That was the first step in the door on this band plight that you had,
Yeah, it was crazy.
Bryan, I'm very curious about this topic that you brought up about songs that you feel didn't work out for you. Looking at some statistics, Buff and Mr. Know-It-All were the rarest songs during the Brown album tour. They were just performed a couple of times with you. Do you recall having a difficult time with them? Did you not feel them? I mean, why were they so rare during the tour?
Probably even Tim would have more insight than me because he was probably closer to Les. I always just thought maybe those are the ones Les thought just didn't work as well with me. Because Les usually picks the set list. Nobody knows what we're playing right before. Soya walks in, gets a thing, Les does a drawing first, because they're, obviously you guys know they're all collectible thing. He does a crazy drawing, then he makes the set list. And if it wasn't on there, like after, more than 3 times, I just figured, I guess that one didn't work. Probably, the way Les thinks, I would think he was just like, I'm just not feeling that one with Bryan. That's what I would think. Not that maybe I didn't know if I was playing it well. I just think it's more probably coming from Les, just probably saying, that one didn't probably feel right. That's my guess.
I think that's pretty genuine. I mean, it's got to work, as 3 people playing a song, Frankie. Fortunately, we have Frankie knows every moment, every song was played ever in the history of Primus, so we can figure this out from there. But
I mean, does that also apply to songs from the actual record, which were pretty rare during the tour? Stuff like Fisticuffs or Renegade, which were only played a handful of times?
Yeah, again, that's probably Les's call, maybe he just didn't feel it, or it was never like I've never made a set list. It's always like Tim would be like, Lur and I would just be sitting there doing our thing. And then, all of a sudden Tim would walk in the room during the Brown album.
Here's what you're playing tonight. I hand him the sheet.
Sometimes we wouldn't even know, right? You just put it on the set and I'd walk out and go, oh, okay, that's the set list tonight.
Sometimes Les was, his mind was elsewhere and I'd be going, come on, dude, set list. Come on. And he'd be all, leave, get out of the room.
We didn't know. So it's all Les on that.
Yeah.
It was never me going, dude, I don't feel good playing Renegade. I don't think I ever told him I didn't feel good about playing a song.
Yeah.
I just think in his head, I think he must have been going, these are the ones that I feel like work. And, maybe we played Renegade a couple times and it just didn't feel right. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Probably Tim would even know more because he was closer to Les at that moment of like.
Dude, come on! You go in the room and Les is tapping the pen on the pad with nothing written on it, and I go, "Come on, dude! It goes in 10 minutes. We need a set list." He go, "Leave, get out of here."
You'd always do it like right before. That was the crazy thing. You'd never know what you were going to play that night.
Yeah, and I'd come back 5 minutes later, and there would be some funny drawing about me, like screwing you in the butt, Bryan.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Set list, and it'd be like 5 minutes. He'd like go, "Whop! There you go."
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. Make copies, get it to all the techs and everybody. Like, oh shit, here's the set tonight, and you guys would be like, geez, oh boy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll play that song tonight. Okay, whatever.
So having toured with dozens of different bands and acts, Bryan and Soya too, you guys have performed live. That sounds unusual.
You got to adapt, and Bryan had to adapt to the world of Les Claypool, and
it was kind of like, I know we're not supposed to go off too much subject, but it was kind of like when I toured with Tom Waits.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The same thing. He always gave us the set list 5 minutes before the show.
Right.
And some of the songs I thought I played great on weren't on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that one shredded last night, and they're not on there, and we never played them again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I think Les was doing it before Tom, because I was in Primus before I did the Tom thing, which I have to thank Les for getting me that gig.
Yeah.
But it was like, it's kind of the same mentality. They're kind of the same people in that way of just wanting it fresh and raw. So mixing it up every night.
Spontaneous as an artist. And like, you don't have time to think about it. You have to come out of the gate like charging, like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah,
he wanted that kind of of like tension and angst in your playing.
Right. I mean, because when I was on the Roger Waters tour, it was the same 15 songs in the same order every single night, because it was all synced with the show. So there was no jamming. There was no straying over here for 5 seconds. It was like this. It's like going to see Rush, like it's the same fucking thing every night. And that's what I liked about what Les was doing with that. And he still does it like that. He writes a set list at the last second, and you go out there and, same thing. Yeah. Still the same.
That's what I tell, people that I really loved. Primus was my favorite band to play in out of all the bands I've been in because of that reason. Because it was like spontaneous, the set was different every night. It was spontaneous. Les would sometimes, like, kind of Frank Zappa, just turn around and just start doing a different rhythm, and I'd be like, "What are you fucking doing, dude?" And just go into it, which was kind of a precursor to the Bucket of Bernie Brain stuff.
Right.
Show, you know what I mean? It became like he was doing the jam band thing before there was jam. It made sense that he went into the jam band scene, because he was doing that shit before they even had the name jam band.
Right.
Making money off that stuff.
Right. I mean, it's like taking your own tunes and not saying we have to do it like this because the people that paid a ticket want to stand there and see it exactly as we have recorded it. It's like, okay, not jam band, but it's like we can go here or we can go there, or it can break down for like 18 bars for a second, and the band guys are all in a circle in their minds to know that, okay, we're gonna do that again, and not have to be like, okay, we didn't hit that part correctly, and then everybody like Frankie comes on and goes, oh, they played it different that one time in Mexico City, or you know what I mean? It's like it's really cool that Les kind of developed that style of being a band leader, like a Woody Herman or whatever, where they were the band leader and they just whatever happened, and it wasn't so much,
And the greatest thing about
verbatim.
Les, though, and I remember Stuart Copeland saying this also when I talked to Stuart about this at a gig one time, Les would do that, and if you fuck up, he's the greatest guy to fuck up. He'd be like, oh, hold on there, Herman. Oh, he's up. Let's try that again. A little slower.
Stop the song, call you out, make you look like a dick, and then go, come on, try it again, dude.
He wouldn't try. It wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to, he'd be just like, oh, hold up there, Ace. Okay, let's try that again. The field goes like this, and we do it and then rip. He gave, and I remember Stewart said that. He goes, oh, the greatest thing about Les is he's such a great front man that if someone's heckling or someone's, like we fuck up a song, he can play it off and we can just start over. It's not like all serious and all. Yeah.
Dude, that dude will stop a song on a dime and do anything that he wants to do.
Yeah.
Talk shit about a fan or play some other riff on his own and then go, okay, let's get back into it, guys. And you're like sitting there going, oh, okay. And then you start back into it, I love that about him. I love that.
That's the best part. And that's what I learned, playing in like on that Brown album tour, is that it started with that and then got crazier as we got more comfortable with each other. We had longer jams.
Right.
Had that kind of stuff.
Right.
Sounds like that was a bit of a thrill for you after a while. Maybe not the first few times, but after that, I guess once you got used to it, did it kind of feel like tightrope without a net sort of thing? Or it just sounds like it's a way to change things up every night without the monotony or the repetition with the Roger Waters stage show. Or I remember seeing Iron Maiden on consecutive nights and I was like, oh, it's the same thing because they have this giant eddy that has to come out. And it was cool to see it. But when I see Primus 2 nights in a row, I don't know what I'm getting. So as a fan, it's great too.
That's the best part because, when I saw Van Halen for the first time, I remember I saw him 2 nights in a row and I was like, wait, like I was so naive. I was just like, what? The same underwear got thrown up there. It's like, oh, it's a prop.
Some roadie sprung some underwear up on the stage from the stage.
Roadie's like this. He's like, place it up there. Check these underwear.
And then David Lee's got his gag for that. Yeah.
I was like, I remember the same underwear up there, same color and everything. That's amazing, Like, none of that in Primus.
That happened to me with the first time I saw Rush. I saw him at the Cow Palace one night and the Oakland Arena the next night. And Geddy said the exact same thing in between every song, and I was like, "What?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck is this, man? Come on, man!
The exact same.
I thought you loved San Francisco. Now you love Oakland even more. Wait, no, nothing's different. Wait, what? Yeah. Well, Les really tries to keep it challenging, which is cool. And I like that, about him, and once he got into the jam band spectrum after, Frog Brigade started and brought that back into Primus, it really created a whole new realm for Primus to not be the same show every single night, but not a jam band, they still playing the Primus tunes, for God's sakes.
Yeah. It certainly opened some doors, I'd say.
Bryan, can you talk a little about the bridge of Duchess and the Proverbial Mind Spirit? Because it's absolutely incredible. I mean, the first time that I saw you playing was when I popped my Animals Should Not Try to Act Like People DVD into my TV. That a live performance from HBO was included as an extra. And when you began playing, the bridge, up to that point in my life, I had never seen anybody play drums that way. It was absolutely mind-blowing for me. So can you talk a little about that bridge?
I don't even remember how it goes. Sorry. I mean, can someone...
Isn't that the do-it?
That's the bass line.
Yeah, and on the bridge, Bryan does some really amazing...
It's like a drum solo kind
of massive solo.
Yeah. I think I remember that one part on there. Yeah, that song, that's the funny one that I think when we were recording that...
Is that one in 7 or 6? I think it's in 7.
I think it's in 7, and that's the one that you, during the drum solo part, I think when we were playing it, kept going, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I had to keep... Remember, I kept doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I kept egging you on to make it better. I'm like, you were holding back. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. That was kind of shit.
Because I always know that when I'm not playing well,
oh my God, you guys, this is hilarious. I forget.
The Holy Mackerel gig that we just did for Less Wine thing.
Yeah.
Soya's in the corner going, I don't know, dude. That's foot. Okay, just fucking miss that thing.
I'm always challenging you, dude. That was my thing,
That's his
to
thing.
Always push you to the next level.
Because I know he knows. And so when Soya was on the gig, I think I've played my best gigs because I know that if I fuck up, he knows, and that would bother me more than.
And I do this, I'd be all, I saw that, dude.
Yeah,
nope, I saw it. Nope.
Right. And I'd be like,
you were wimping, dude. You were totally wimping.
So, but sorry, to get back to your point, during that thing and that part, it was just a lot that I remember that particular gig, I think that was recorded. And I think that was still early on. And I think that came from a lot of just like anxiety and just wanting to kind of just go crazy. I wasn't quite relaxed yet.
I think it was less wanting you to have a moment when we were at Rancho recording that stuff. And he's like, we need a brain moment. And it was like that. And you were like, what? Okay.
I just didn't, and in that particular, and even on that live thing and whenever we played that, it was still kind of like me getting used to it. I didn't really settle in until when we, and I don't even know if you then was on that tour.
I did zero anti-pop.
No, it was the tour even before that. So it was like maybe around Rhinoplasty when we did.
Okay. I was on all that. Yeah.
Some of it, you might have been some of it when I had the yellow sparkle kit.
No, that was Aztec Sparkle. Aztec
Sparkle. Yeah, that Aztec Sparkle. That's when I felt like I was the most relaxed in the band. But then we weren't playing that stuff anymore, so I think it came, that tension that you felt and that kind of angst was just really from being kind of nervous, to tell you the truth. It was just me, do something. So
I think what Frankie's asking, and I can agree with you, Brain, is like it just was like that moment that in the studio, Frankie, that Les just said, brain moment.
Yeah.
Go wild.
Do a drum solo in the middle of this song.
You just
magically just pull something out of your butt, and you're like, okay, what the fuck? How about this? And then we got 2 takes into it, and he's like, okay, we got it. And you're like, I don't know, dude. And I was in the corner going, I don't know, man. I don't think you had it, dude.
I don't know, dude.
Kind of wimping, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever. Les likes it. Fuck you, dude. I don't care.
It's like, that's one of the ones also that, and I'm glad you enjoy it. And, thanks for the compliment. But that's one of the ones that I think if I would have toured and known this is what I was supposed to do, it would have been,
have an idea what you want to do, what you want to do. You just had to come up with it in that on the fly moment.
Yes, it was.
That's what the Brown album was all about. It was all written on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Record. Yeah. Okay. We stopped. And then you go, I don't know, man. And I'm like, oh, dude, that sucked. And Les is like, okay, we got it. It's all done. On to the next song. And you're like, boy.
But that's what I love. That's what I love about Les, because that's what I love, that he just goes for it. Like, Soya and I would be like, I don't know, man, let me go home and practice it. Or, I'd be like, I don't know, dude, keep trying it. And I'd be like, yeah, let me do like 10 takes. Les would just be like, we got it. We're moving on. We'd be like,
yep.
Wait, what? Okay.
And then you start playing some bass line and you have to create the next song. All of a sudden it's Camelback Cinema started. He played the bass line. You're like, okay, we have to create this song now. Wait, my drum solo in the last one sucked. Hold on. Wait. Nope. Moving on.
That's how that album, the Brown album, since we're talking about it, was kind of built.
Okay. Totally.
So that means that maybe there were some songs that were built around you playing a drum pattern first. Like you laid down a groove and then Les and Larry built on that?
Yeah,
a bunch of those.
Yeah. There was like 3 or 4 at least.
That opening track, the opening song of the album was Brain played that beat, and then they created their stuff around it.
And then the other one, there was the other one.
Camelback Cinema, perhaps, because it starts with the drums.
Yep. That starts with the drums. I think a lot of the ones that start with the drums, and we didn't really play those though live, like you were saying. We didn't play a lot of that stuff.
Very rarely.
Yeah, they started with the drums, and I think maybe Les was even thinking, because back then people were doing shorter sets. Now people play for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Back then, we were only playing for like an hour and 10 minutes. So I think to play the whole catalog of Primus, there only had to, needed only 3 or 4 Brown album stuff.
Right.
So we just played, he liked Over the Falls. We always played that.
Yep. Man, that video shoot on Baker Beach, dude. Remember that? with the vintage drum kit. Jesus Christ.
And my look. And like, you put the bandana on me. I'm all like trying to be gangsta and stuff, you know.
Les is like, what are you doing? And like, I'm like, man, guys, you have to understand, me and Bryan were like always trying to sidestep and like have fun on our own time and not Les's time.
Yeah.
It's like
so funny.
I have like 5 hats on and a bandana. I'm just like, bro. And you told me to play traditional on that.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
I'm like, dude, you can't play this drum set from the 1920s and play match grip. You got to play.
You told me that. You
got to do
traditional. Yeah, you're all, dude, you got to play traditional. I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, yeah.
Man, funny, dude. I mean, you know, we had fun, you know, and the other one that I was just going to talk about was Bob's Party Time Lounge was the one that you guys really spent a lot of time on. And I felt that it got overworked because that album was songs were created as they came out. And then Les really put a lot of time and effort in with you guys, you and Lur, to try to make that thing something great. And it's like, I don't really like that song.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that was one of the ones that felt like you're right. I remember we overworked that one, and that's like one of my least favorite twos because I felt like it was one of the ones that we burned out.
Yeah.
You know, we just
in the studio.
In the studio, we maybe needed to put it away and come back to it a week later or something.
Well, let's ask Frankie, how many times has Bob's Party Time Lounge ever been played live?
Oh, wow. Give me a moment to check.
I just don't know.
I remember.
I mean, it's actually inclusive in the Rhinoplasty CD as a bonus track.
That's true, yeah.
It wasn't that rare, you know. It was performed a bit over 40 times, so they really loved the song.
You guys got a few in there then, yeah.
Bryan, I remember. You will remember too. Les submitted the demo of the Brown album, and Tom Wally was like, "Wait a second. There's no Jerry was a race car driver. There's no Tommy the cat. Les, where's your characterisms of telling the story?" And then all of a sudden that song changed completely. And it's Bob's Party Time Lounge. And it was like, and then he really made that the one to try to please Tom Wally, I felt, you know, and it didn't work for me in my listening. It's like,
that was a weird song. That was like the one that kind of just, I felt like it was uninspired, but it was supposed to be like the most, maybe, like you said, like worked on one.
Yeah.
We kind of worked it to the ground, and then I think the actual take we used wasn't as inspired. I think if we could have just redone it maybe a week later, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like come in fresh and just thought of it.
Totally. I mean, and like what we talked about, some of those other songs where you just played the beat and then a song came out of it versus we spent 2 weeks on Bob's Party Time and you guys kept doing it over and over and over again, which was like a rare moment for a song on that record, you know?
Yeah. Tim, they didn't do too much, did they? Or they didn't?
Punch Bowl was the same thing. It was all made up kind of on the spot, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You said that earlier. That's right.
Yeah.
There was no pre-thought out songs that got brought in, you know?
Tim, this might be a long shot, but do you have any insight about Les Claypool trying to get Brian Eno on board to produce the album and then being turned down?
I'm going to tell you right now that Les Claypool, until Antipop, has never considered anybody coming in to produce any record ever that I have knowledge of. I was amazed when I talked to Bryan during the Antipop because I was working with Beck at the time on that Midnight Vultures tour. Remember, I came down. I was there one day. You guys were at what's that place? Sound recording or recorders?
Talking about Soundworks or something.
Joe Strummer was recording upstairs, and you guys were down in the big room. And I think Stuart Copeland was there that day. I can't remember sound recorders or Coast recorders or something. And that was when you guys were doing a different producer for every song.
Oh, was it the Village?
Yeah, the Village. Yes.
Yeah.
The Village Recorders, or
right.
It's called, or something.
Yeah.
And I had a day off that afternoon from Beck rehearsals, and I took a taxi down there and hung out with you guys, and we had lunch and whatever the fuck. But I was in the studio, and it was like, oh yeah, and you go, oh, Stuart Copeland's here, dude. We have a different producer on every song, and it was like,
Tom Morello just
Wait, Les isn't like the only producer? Holy shit, this is interesting. You know, like I was stoked. It was like, okay, bring some new vibes in, you know, maybe it'd be good. But Frankie, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
That sounds like something Claypool might have just made up for fun, but I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, like I say, I've told you guys in the past, you know, Les's brain operates, and I don't know about half of the things that goes on, even when I'm working with him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to kind of like, I couldn't see him doing it back then.
Not on the Brown album. I remember
the Brown album. Yeah.
We were so entrenched in Les Claypool world of I'm making my own records. There's no way.
DIY.
There's no way that he made a call to Bryan Eno and asked if he'd produce the Bryan album. There's no way.
Annie Pop, which I know we're not supposed to talk about that now, but by that time, I think things had just he had gotten so much shit from the record companies. What happened to this style? What happened to writing? You know, maybe he thought he just wanted to switch it up, and probably that was the point where he was just probably like frustrated also maybe about other things. So he just wanted to try something.
Trying to find a new outlet, a new venue or tangent to go. It's like, you know, okay, I made 4 records at Rancho Relaxo and I need something new to happen, you know? During the Brown album, there's no way that he was thinking about bringing in another producer. No way.
So maybe he was joking.
He was absolutely joking. Yes, for sure.
Bryan, I would like to compliment you for your playing on Shake Hands with Beef, particularly the hi-hat work. It's so impressive. And every time I listen to that song, sometimes it takes me a few minutes to get to the first verse because I just keep replaying the intro to listen to the hi-hat.
Right. I challenged him to get that part like that. That was Soya.
And Shake Hands with Beef was the one that I think we played at like a couple TV shows, and that was kind of the one we did the video for first, right? That was the first video.
Yeah.
And
that was.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of one that kind of just, I thought that was a strong song, you know, that was like one to kind of show off, oh shit, they got a new drummer, they got a new look, you know, it's like a whole different thing was happening. And I thought that was and then, you know, the sped up kind of drumming video just looked cool. I thought that was also a great video. Was that one done by Les or was that a Mark?
That was at Les's house. Remember down by the gate? Right? He brought that little RV down there
but Les
directed that one.
Yeah, that to me was that really was a great one he picked. I thought we all played well on it. I thought it showed off a new sound that was very minimal.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a good one. I wish there was more songs like that. We could have, you know, I feel like we would have had more like that if we would have toured and then recorded the Brown album.
Right. And been able to have said,
yeah, exactly.
This is good. That's bad. This is good. That's bad.
We're just going though. And I think
Shake Hands with Beef, definitely that kick drum, man, comes through that 26 kick on that one.
Because there's so much space with the dunk.
That's amazing.
You know, it just had this kind of like almost like the beginning, like how Mud is the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a Mud type thing, but even more like groove pop almost. I would never use pop for Primus, but it just for lack of a better word, you know, it just had something that I think we would have probably had more of that kind of shit if we would have had time to throw away shit and not Les do his normal thing of just like, all right, come on, let's get going. All right, that was great. All right, let's do another song. You know, it's like that kind of thing. But that's how he works, and that's how you get great shit, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had great success with Primus with that vibe, you know? Yeah. You can't deny that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, speaking of that track, Beef, that performance that you guys did on Late Night with Conan O'Brien was the first time I ever saw you at all, Bryan. So but what struck me, of course, I taped it, right? I was 16. I taped it, watched it over and over and over. But the thing that really stood out to me was your playing, because I was going, who's this new guy? You know, but the, 16-year-old me, I don't know who, so your playing is very theatrical in the sense that it's so lively and your arms are all over the place and you're raising up real high to hit your cymbals and drums. So I'm curious if that was something you curated over time, or is that just how you naturally play drums?
Well, I mean, probably in that moment, that was probably Soya going, really, dude? You're just going to sit right here and play like a... I can't use the word these days. No. And, I swear...
Bryan was looking for girls, man. He was like...
It was really, I'm not trying to sit here and like stroke Soya's cock off or whatever, but I'm just saying that it was really me just going like my style, like hit the drums like you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I play like that too, but Bryan.
Soya and I had, we were like, your drums would be to be hit like a man, so hit the fucking drums or get off the stage.
Dude, Bryan, I mean, you can suck my cock all you want. I'm stoked on that, but I'm saying in the Limbo Maniacs days, and you would have these different drum kit every night you played, and you always were like, your arms are up, and you were hitting, cymbals were way up here or down here, or there was a ribbon crasher or something, and it was like unique to see you play. And when you came into Primus, I remember you being so like timid and in a box, like I just have to play the drums and get. I'm almost like, come on, dude, put the China like tip towards you like this. You're like, I don't know, dude. That's kind of weird, man. I used to do that in Limbos. I shouldn't do that here. I'm like, that's your style, dude. I mean, when you took your arm and went like that, when you pushed out at the China, I was like, Bryan, that makes people's juices flow that are watching you play. And you kind of went, okay, all right, let's bring this into Primus too. And that's when we built those weird kits and
I think
it's like you still have to do your theatricalness to be who you are as an artist, It was cool that you were able to do it in Primus, You can't do that in Tom Waits, twirling the sticks and all that stuff,
Yeah.
Well, I will say that was huge energy for me when I saw that performance, and I thought, this guy's going to be just fine, because some of the fans went, what is this? And I went, wow, this guy can pound the drums, and I was really excited, and I guess with the smaller kit and things being a little bit sitting a bit lower, I suppose, because it seemed like Tim Alexander was always kind of hiding behind that kit, but we could see you, see you straight on. I don't know if you were mugging for the camera or, if that was at Soya's assistance too, but I just love watching your face while you play drums, You're so expressive there too. It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, you have to know Bryan hits the drums almost as hard as I do. Not as hard as neither one of us hit the drums as hard as Mike Borden. He's the king.
Well, nobody does, but
he's the king. But but I know Bryan was nervous out there, and as a roadie for Primus and working with the band with Tim, and even before Tim when Jay was in the band, Bryan needed me pushing him, and we had fun with that push and pull of me going, come on, motherfucker. Come on, dude. Don't be wimping, dude. This is bullshit. And Bryan would step up to the plate and go, Soya's looking. He's standing right there. Motherfucker, watch this. Like he would do it, and Bryan, you're amazing like that. You were able to like step up to the plate and go, fuck you.
Well, I mean, like I said, it was pre-COVID. So right before that whole shit happened, we had done that.
The Holy Mackerel gig.
And it was still the same. Like nothing has changed. Like I walked in the room and he looked at my drum kit and he's like, "Really, dude? That's the kit you're gonna play? All right, you better kick ass on that thing." I was like, "All right, yeah, well, fuck you too, dude. I'll show you." Like it's the challenging thing. So that's always in the back of my mind, and I'll never forget one of the gigs. Les actually on the Brown. I think it was the Brown album tour because it was the first one. I had the Vista Light kit. So, Tim, he was giving me, I played the show and it was great. And I think even Dave Grohl, remember Dave Grohl went up to the mic at the very beginning of their set of the Foo Fighters and he's going, "Oh, Primus has got a new drummer. Yeah, I like it. I like it."
Yeah, that was that same show at the Great Woods. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And then Soya was busting my balls backstage, kind of just going like, "Well, even you get an endorsement by Dave Grohl, that's cool, but you better kick some ass. You better still kick some ass." And I remember Les was like, "Dude, can you just give him like a break?" In the less way that he said it. He was like, "Can you just, give him a day off, man?" He never lets me down with drumming. We have a thing. Even if we're texting, you'll be like, "Look at Tommy Aldridge, dude. He's fucking 90 and still kicking ass and ripping and doing, it's like, that's our rapport."
And you just texted me that you died. Tommy Aldridge is still ripping.
So, that's and the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because, Tim is on this thing and he was a big part of the Brown album. So that's why I think a lot of the big playing, a lot of the hard hitting was like that because in Anti-Pop, he wasn't even around for that. So it was a little more intricate. You know, it was a lot more fills going on and stuff. I know that'll be a whole nother episode, but if we're still talking about why the Brown album sounded that way, it was because of the dynamic between Tim and I. And then
it was an interesting combination of me helping you and challenge you at the same time, you know.
Yep,
and that's how our friendship has always been with drumming, you know, challenging each other. It hasn't
changed since. Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. We'll go see a drummer now. We'll be like, you know, we both could look at each other and just be like, this guy sucks.
That dude wimps.
Yeah,
he wimps.
You know, it's like that type.
Totally, man. Of course, dude.
Bryan, what do you recall about the song "Cutting Town"?
Oh God, I can't even remember.
At the 7-second mark, there's a really funny.
Wait, Cutting Town. How does that one go?
Cutting Town.
That starts with Larry playing some power
the mall
chords.
in Santa Rosa that Les wrote a song.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but how does the groove go again? Just to go.
I don't remember. I can't wait to hear this.
All I was thinking of that was when we would do Kyle. What's the song Kyle on Holy Mackerel?
Kyle, yes.
Yeah.
Calling Kyle.
Calling Kyle. That's where I took that. That's where I got that beat. Because Kyle's the same beat. And it's like, I remember Kyle's kind of half punk rock, half like polka, half.
Calling Kyle.
You know, it's like, wait, calling Kyle.
Rancor.
Yeah, Rancor. Punk rock beat, yeah.
It's like a punk rock beat, but half polka, half just trash. Yeah. That is what I remember. I was thinking about Rancor because we played Rancor a lot on the tour. That's why I was saying that if we had done some touring as just Primus and started doing the grooves Les was kind of doing for the recording, that came from me playing in Holy Mackerel, thinking of Rancor.
Right.
Not Kyle. Kyle's
Kyle's out there. That's like Goner. Rancor was the head one. Rancor's the one that wore Adam out every night.
I love Rancor though. So Rancor.
Adam hated it. I remember. It's amazing how like those things just came out of nowhere, dude. Les is like, "Come on, Bryan, play something." You're like, and all of a sudden he's like, do, and he just starts playing something, you know. And Lur's like standing there going,
"Yeah, I know."
And Lur would come back and redo everything later.
Yeah, I know.
He was able to do that.
He could just sit there and skank.
Yeah.
That's his go-to. Then he comes back, but when he said, on that particular one, I was thinking Rancor the whole time.
Okay. That's awesome.
Me playing that song.
Cutting Town. Bryan, I haven't thought about that song until Frankie said it in like 20 years, dude. Cutting Town.
I can't even remember that. I mean, once you play it, I remember it. I was listening to the Brown album.
I normally listen to the record before we start these things, and I have not listened to the Brown album.
I know, yeah. I didn't listen.
I got to put it on and listen to it again. And, dude, it will bring back Holiday Market every time, dude. Amazing.
Strikes me, because I hadn't listened to it for a while either. Then we were coming up on it, and I bet I should probably listen to a couple of these tracks. So I've started to get into it, and I'm realizing it's 15 tracks. And
wow, we did 15 songs on the Brown album?
15 legit tracks. There's no Space Farm. There's no nothing like that. It's 15 songs. Like, you guys must have been really cranking them out or just feeling the juices. I am curious, you know, looking back on it now, because when you're doing it, you're in the moment, and you probably aren't thinking about what you're creating at the time because you're working, for lack of a better term.
It was trippy because I remember Les being very feverishly going forward with the new drummer thing, you know, and he had that new 1-inch tape recorder, and it was all new, and it was like, let's go, let's do this. Bryan, remember?
Yeah.
Every night you would come up, or every day, it was like, let's go. Tracking. Let's go.
Yeah, and there was no fucking around. And that's why some of my playing feels a little nervous to me, because it was kind of that vibe. Les is so relaxed because, you know, I mean, it's his band. He's been in the band.
It's at his house recording.
Yeah, it's at his house. Right. We're driving up there. I'm, looking at like the touring.
You and Lur drove like an hour over to get up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Every day, and I drove a half hour and I was like, Jesus Christ.
It was just a lot being thrown at you. And so I think that, but Les, I think always maybe had, was always wanting that many songs. I don't know. Maybe he didn't think about it and there was no filler jams. It was just kind of like, all right, here they all are. And this is kind of, shorter songs, right? There, except maybe Bob.
Yeah, Hats Off is pretty short.
A lot of them
Arnie is just instrumental. But that's another interesting thing. It's 15 tracks long. There's no interludes, no stuff like Space Farm, as Josh mentioned. But at the same time, this is the first Primus album where some songs were never played on tour. And to this day, there are several songs on the album which have never been performed live at all.
Wow.
Well, I told Les, dude, we got to do the Brown album tour and then have the Holy Mackerel open up. Yes. That's my goal. That's what I want him to do.
That would be awesome, dude. And dude, rhinoplasty cannot be included.
Yeah, rhinoplasties, and you guys got to do that one at one point. That was kind of
that's next, dude. After the Brown.
Oh, you bet. We're gonna cover Rhino.
You're getting involved in that one with me, with Toby Wright, dude. I'm gonna get Toby involved, dude. I'm gonna try.
That's right. That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Man, we did that at Prairie Sun. Remember, it was awesome.
I remember that one too. Yeah.
Pretty much my last question is, it has nothing to do with the Brown album, and I'll probably cut this, but I saw in a really old issue of Guitar Player, this is like 94, and I'd asked Joe Gore about it, but Les was quoted as saying, hey, I'm going to do this Brainless Gore thing with Bryan and Joe Gore. We had Joe Gore on a long time ago, and I emailed him about it after the fact. He said it just never came together, but was it just talk at that time? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I think it was just Brainless Gore. Yeah, I remember that. I think it was one of those things.
Joe's hilarious, dude.
Les just was talking about, and it just never kind of came to fruition, just never happened. But I think it would have been awesome. Think about it even now, it would still be cool, because Joe Gore is such an awesome player, and he's the one who kind of got me started in the Bay Area by joining Big City.
Big City, yeah.
Right, Big City, right.
I was playing with the Limbos, and then they saw me play in the Limbos, and then Joe and those guys got a hold of me and was like, hey, do you want to jam with us? And I was like, oh yeah, you guys are like the biggest band in the city. And so them and the Looters and Freaky Executives, which Jay was in.
Yep.
Right.
And, so that's the first time I saw them, and the Freaky Executives were awesome. They were like
hilarious. Just, dude, we talked to Jay about that the other night, dude. Jay. Oh, dude.
Was he just all like, he has bad memories about that? But
no, it was awesome. Him breaking tree branches to play gigs because he didn't have drums or sticks or anything. And there was a bamboo panel behind me. I just broke some bamboo pieces off to do a gig. So funny. Those old days, man.
Yeah, he was ripping in that band, and so I was a fan of those.
Well, I have to say, hold on, I'll interrupt you for 1 sec, Bryan, before you got to go. The Sausage demo tape, remember Primus? Like that demo before Suck on This, it's like was so groundbreaking and changed the whole Bay Area music scene. That one tape alone, And when you got into Primus, me and you huddled into a corner and were like, all right. Tim did his thing, but Jay did his thing. We got to get some of this Jay vibe into it. Remember, we were like, come on, this part, that part on the Sausage demo tape. Remember, we were listening to it in the hotel room, and you're like, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah. That is
so that was what was cool about you coming in to Primus, was you brought a little bit of what we all knew of Primus that the world didn't know about. You know?
Yeah, because they only need Tim. And as far as my playing also is like, Tim has just mainly been in Primus. I mean, he's done other things, but his signature is Primus. And he doesn't do a lot of sessions for a lot of other people. I kind of was a session drummer even before I joined Primus. I mean, I have that side where I can go in and read music and do a commercial in 15 minutes and sight read a chart and do that kind of stuff and play with a bunch of different bands and do that kind of thing. Not as heavy as a Josh Freese or something, but I had a little bit of that. So when Tim was bringing in that tape and we were listening to it, it was easy to get influenced by that because I could be like, oh, okay, I'm not afraid to check that out and learn that. Like Tim probably would be like, well, that's not me. I just do what I do. And that's rad too. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No, totally.
He had that luxury with me because technically I'm very schooled. You know, I can read classical, snare drum, and
you can play the black page without a chart.
I come from that. I'm just saying I come from more of that, Terry Bozzio thing too, where I can read music and you know what I mean? So it was like, I had a little bit of that. So Tim would be there like, dude, you got to add a little, listen what J-Ski was playing right here on this, dude. I mean, come on, we got to add some of that back in. Like that's where the hi-hat stuff came in.
Right.
Which is kind of like Stuart Copeland meets funk, kind of,
Totally. I mean, it was awesome when you came in and you took both concepts into one realm, like you definitely brought them both in. I mean, the J-Ski thing is like, you can't cop J-Ski verbatim, but you can do that vibe. Tim, you can kind of cop his vibe, but it's impossible. It's like playing Grapevine, like I watched a video of J-Ski playing Grapevine at Bonnaroo in 2016 or something. And I was like, man, he's not even playing the beat. He's not doing what it does. He's going, he's just kind of like doing the J-Ski beat on top of it. And I was like, all right, well, it's all hit or miss. You either cop the dude verbatim or you do your own thing, And when you came into Primus, I think you really brought a lot of your own vibe into that band, It's awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it was just more of taking a little bit of both, I think, and being able to just, being able to do the intricate stuff, but give it a little more an edge, and like, what Josh was saying about like, and hitting harder. Mm-hmm. It was like my thing was always playing intricate parts, but doing them really hard.
Yes.
Like hitting it hard. So it's like funk meets, it's like funky, but it's like it's got, a little more power behind it or whatever, where, because I didn't have the weight. Bonham just had the weight behind it. So he kind of pushed it through, where I had to kind of use my arms to get it.
Wow. Bryan, I just want to share something with you. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with Paolo Baldi, the drummer for Claypool and Delirium. And we were talking about, random songs that they would sometimes do on tour. And I told him that one of the rarest songs that he ever did with Les in the Fancy Band was Thai Noodles. And I told him, it's such a rare track with Fancy Band. They only played it a handful of times. And he told me, is that one of the Brain songs? And I told him, yeah, that's a Brain track. And he said, oh, yeah, it's super hard. He kind of hated playing that song because he told me it was...
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, too. That's a rad song. And... when we do the Bucket of Bernie Brain ones, I mean, that's another thing to talk about with that stuff because, that's like Bernie. I mean, come on, how are you going to, Bernie Worrell's like the greatest. And then you got Buckethead who's, I mean, it's a different thing. At that point, Les and I had already gone through the whole breakup of, us thing, and then
Anti-Pop ended.
He knew it was time. He was just like, look, if I do this again, I'm going to get the original thing back together. That's what people know. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay. And I was doing my Guns thing. And then eventually we came back. And at that point, I just think that the rapport we had, because we were clear-headed, there was no more weirdness. There was no more of the pressure of Primus also on him.
Right.
Yeah. Some of the best shits on that Bucket of Bernie Brains album, and some of the best shows I've ever played in my life are the Bucket of Bernie Brains shows. Even that first Bonnaroo show.
It's important to get that release though, as an artist, a drummer or a bass player or whatever. It's like you go through that pressure of what the Brown album and then Anti-Pop and then the breakup and then you get back together and go, hey, we're cool, man. It's like, fuck, that stuff that happened is not as important as us being musicians together, And that's what I felt Bucket of Birdie Brains was, It really showcased like you guys being friends jamming together, and not the record label needs a hit. That record is amazing.
It was such a relief to play that first show because I think and Les will probably never admit it, but I think even Les was nervous because literally Bucket and I flew in for that gig and we didn't know one note we were going to play. Nothing.
Yeah.
I worked on that recording with you guys. Remember I came up
That's awesome.
a couple nights and I worked on that recording and I saw the show at the Avalon in LA. Remember I showed up when my snare drum was sitting there?
Yeah.
That you can't find?
I can't find that snare drum.
Oh, hopefully you can find it for Soya. Hey, Bryan, thank you so much. We're at time. I really appreciate you joining us. Soya, thanks for reaching out to Bryan. And
Bryan, thank you so much.
Yeah,
really.
no problem, guys. Yeah, let's do the other ones, man. And what the fuck happened to Lur, dude?
Lur's a dork, man. We'll get him in here.
He didn't even fucking text me back. Okay, you gotta save this part. We're all coming after you, Lur. You fucking whatever. All right, we're right on, guys. Hey, man, I appreciate it.
Awesome, Bryan. You're the man.
Thank you so much,
Love
Bryan.
you, brother.
I'll talk to you guys soon.